Yo, what's going on, everybody? Hope all is going well. So, y'all, I feel like it's been a little minute since I actually podcast. And the reason why is because, like I told y'all before in the past, that we had just moved to a new home. And so we moved to the new home. I got my podcast all set up in the room, and I thought I was good to go, which I was because I did a couple episodes. Well, we were between houses like the last 2.5, 3 weeks. And so we had to clean up the old house, right? And then bring stuff from the old house to the new house. Now, mind you, we did have movers that moved all of our big stuff to the new house. But ironically enough, we had forgot a bunch of small stuff over there, or we just weren't ready to move it yet to the new house because we had to, make space for stuff and find out where it was going to go. Do we really need it? Are we going to use it? Or is it just trash? And so eventually, y'all, we was able to get everything where it needs to be. But in between me being there at the old house and me being at the new house, I just wasn't able to jump on and do a podcast. Y'all, I was so stressed out in my mind. First of all, one, I want to make sure that I leave the house the way we moved into it from the renters, right? Our owners, anyways, is what I should say. I want to make sure that I leave the house back in the same condition that they gave it to me in. And then number two, I wanted to make sure that we were getting stuff set up at the new house and getting stuff moved accordingly so we can bring stuff from over there to over here. But it was just so much stress in between trying to make sure everything's good over there and then also make sure that everything's good at the new house. And so I had a lot of stress that I was dealing with. So I was not in a mindset to be able to podcast under those terms, those stresses and conditions that I was dealing with. And so what I ended up doing was saying, okay, I'm on a podcast once I get everything moved and get everything set up, which officially I am going to tell you today that everything is in place. The old home that we were renting, we gave the keys back to the owners on the first. We got stuff set up in the new house. We put away some stuff the last couple of days. So we finally in a position to where we can actually relax. But it was a stressful situation, y'all. Very stressful. Let me just ask y'all to do me a favor. If you have not hit that follow button on the podcast, make sure you do. When you hit the follow button, you'll never miss a moment to rewire the way you think. But back to what I was saying about being stressed out about the moves. So one thing I did learn with myself is that my stress from the move was internal. It wasn't external. And so I had to learn and understand not to project my stress on anything or anyone because of how I was feeling. And it was kind of funny because in the process of moving, me and my wife had our little small spats that we normally have every so often. And they weren't bad disagreements. They weren't arguments. It wasn't yelling. It wasn't shouting. None of that. Me and my wife are very mature in this marriage, and we know things that we should say and not say to each other. Now, there are moments of temperament that does come out between the both of us, but we're never going to push it to the point of where it gets to or become a shouting match or anything physical like that. Right. But what I was saying is that we had our little spats where we went back and forth, but I did not allow my stress or project it on people because I was stressed out. One thing that I learned is that as well as I was stressed out, as well as my wife and my daughter and my son with all the moves and everything, everybody had a little stress they were dealing with. My son now has to drive about an hour to work and an hour from work. So he was stressed out dealing with that. My daughter had to relocate from the store she was working out to a store in the new area where we moved to. So she was stressed out about working for a new store, the people there, was she going to be able to bond with the folks? And then my other daughter, she was just in between everything she had going on, having a relationship over here, now moving over here, way across town. Their relationship might not work out no more because of distance. And so we were all stressed out to a certain extent. But like I said, one thing I told myself is I was not going to project my stress, my what I want to say, discomfort on anybody because of the scenario that we're in. It was even one point where we had spent a couple nights at the home we were renting, and we slept on the air mattress. And so that was, and you all know that if you sleep on that mattress, it is not the most comfortable thing, right? No, it wasn't a bad thing, but it wasn't the most comfortable sleep that I would have liked to have gotten, right? But everything worked out all right. And what I want to say and conclude this episode is that don't project your stress on anyone. And the main point I want to make is that your stress is normally internal and not external. But what we do is that because we don't want to deal with the stress, we project it on other people and we start saying it's their fault why you feel the way you feel. They did this, they did that. And so now it caused you to be stressed out. And now you're angry with everybody, including yourself. And it is just not fair to project your stress on anyone, especially when your stress is internal and external. Internal versus external is what I was wanting to say. And so, with that being said, y'all, we've got to really learn how to have self control when it comes to projecting our anger or stress, whatever it is we project it on people. Because there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, no matter what. And usually, as human beings, we do the wrong thing, right? And never do the right thing. And so we project our stress and anger on other people and they don't deserve it. It's funny, my wife, she says this thing that we've been talking a lot about the last couple of years. And she says, now I gotten to the point of knowing you and you know me. And I know that your anger or your stress is not anything that I did. If you are temperamental or whatever you may say, or, try to throw a little word out there that sounds like antagonizing, I know it's not toward me because I haven't did anything. And I was like, that is true. Right. And so now we both know that when we're having a bad day, something's not right. It's not us that's actually caused that person to feel that way. So we're not going to take what they say and say, hey, you're coming at me the wrong way. We now know and say, hey, whatever you got going on today, your stress is something you're dealing with internally. I just happen to be in the crossfire of it. Now, like I said, it's not like we yell at each other, we get in a shouting match, but we may say something a little snarky or throw a smart remark out there because of whatever that we're dealing with. And so we've learned that about each other, though, that when we're stressed out or whatever we got going on, I didn't do anything. So for you to project a little of your anger on me, I'm not going to get upset because I know it's not toward me. It's whatever you're dealing with. And so if you can take life with a grain of salt and use that as your mindset when something happens and to realize that somebody's stress or anger is not really towards you, it's just something dealing with internally, you'll make and have a lot better relationships with people around you because you won't take it personal because you know you didn't do anything. But on the other hand, if you did something to stress somebody out or make them angry, they should project their anger or whatever it is on you because you caused them to be that way. So don't ever think you can cause somebody to be angry or stressed out with you and you causing it for them not to be stressed out with you, right? You should accept it at that point. But if it's something you know you didn't do, then no, you don't have to accept it. But like I said, you also don't have to go back at them and make it a bigger scenario than what it should be. They say something snarky or they say something that they shouldn't say to you, you could just take that with a grain of salt and be like, you're just in your moment right now. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to walk away. And when I come back 10 minutes later, you're going to be fine. Right? So we've got to get better at doing that. But I really want to talk, really want to talk about that on the episode about how to deal with stress because a lot of times we deal with stress every single day and we got to learn how to project stress in the right direction and not project it on someone who doesn't really deserve it. And so back to my initial point I made, a lot of times your stress is internal and not external. And so if someone hasn't did anything to cause you any stress, there is no way, shape, or form that it's fair for you to take it out on them just because they're in the crossfire of your stress. Learn to deal with your stress learn to manage your stress and learn how to demonstrate or how to exhibit that stress out in other areas where it's healthy. One thing that I do when I get stressed out is I work out. I take that stress, that anger, that fear, that doubt, wherever I got it at, and I put it into an hour and a half workout, right? I go play basketball sometimes. But that may not be the best form for you because if you have zero self-control, you get on the basketball court, you're having a bad day, someone say something to you, it might end up in a fight. It's kind of funny, y'all. I shared with y'all before that I go to Vasa Fitness, where I was going to Vasa Fitness in the Chandler area, and the LA Fitness in that area had closed down. And I guess there was a lot of ballers that would go to LA Fitness and they would just ball up all day, every day. Well, when the LA Fitness closed, we got all the ballers from LA Fitness over to Vasa now. And so now Vasa has become the new LA Fitness. But what I want to share is that some of those cats that have came from LA Fitness, they brought that same anger to Vasa, and there's been a couple of fights in Vasa at the gym because of whatever happened, right? And so, so what I was saying is that you don't want to go play basketball when you stressed out or got anger on your mind, because it definitely might come out somewhere else on the court. And if you're dealing with them LA Fitness folks, you're probably going to get what you're looking for, a fight. So don't ever take your stress and anger to the basketball court, especially if it's uncontrolled, because you definitely going to get what you're looking for. And you might be looking for a fight. I'm not, because I'm non-confrontational, but you might be. But if you are, again, that is not a way to exhibit your stress on anybody. So y'all, long story short, I didn't take my stress out on anyone. I didn't project it on anyone. I didn't yell at anyone. I didn't take it out in any bad shape or form, or I didn't make the mood worse than what it already was. What I did was I kept a positive mindset. I kept a mindset to understand that not only am I dealing with stress, everyone else around me is dealing with stress as well. And me keeping that mindset, I was able to have us move successfully without no arguments, no issues, or no squabbles in between. And so, y'all, that is how we must live our life when we dealing with stress, is not take it out on people and not project it up on those who does not deserve it. Yeah, I really appreciate y'all for listening. Hey, y'all, I got an announcement. Starting next week, I'm going to be podcasting 4 days a week. So y'all going to get 2 more days of Coach James. For a matter of fact, y'all might get tired of hearing from Coach James. so just so y'all know, you're going to get 2 more episodes. It was 2 episodes a week, but my goal was to podcast on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, y'all. If you have not followed me, go check out my Instagram, because I do my motivational videos on Instagram. I take some of my podcast clips that I record and drop them on Instagram. If you have not followed me, I would encourage you to do so. It's Fast Forward Mindset Podcast. So go check it out, y'all. Don't forget to check out my website. It's www.rewiredthewayyoutthink.com. Y'all, if you're struggling with thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else, please don't hesitate to call a suicide prevention hotline at 988. Y'all, make sure you hit that follow button. With the follow button, you'll never miss a moment to rewire the way you think. Hey, y'all, I'm Coach James. Let me help rewire the way you think. And as I always say, if your mindset isn't making you money, it's costing you way too much. And that's my 2 cents now, y'all. Peace. Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. And remember, don't rewind your life, fast forward it. Until next time, keep moving forward. Hey, y'all, I'm Coach James. Let me help rewire the way you think. All right, y'all. Peace.